jazz.
And it's all in honour of Woody Allen, a very famous filmmaker, a lot of films under his belt, and now his new one, Cafe Society.
Do you want to take a guess at how many films Woody Allen has?
Oh, Joe.
I
reckon you might get this.
I'm gonna say, for some reason, I'm 56.
You're going to say 56. What do you think, Liam?
I'm going to say 64.
Joe, you were closest. He's got 47
Okay.
films.
47, that's pretty good.
So
though.
to say he's prolific is probably an understatement.
Well, he's been doing one a year for a good while.
I think Joe pretty much summed it up when we left the cinema after seeing this, that he just sort of has the luxury now of sort of picking an idea out of his shelf, deciding he wants to make it, and running with it. And that sort of, as you would expect, leads to a lot of hits. A lot of great films, like in recent years, Blue Jasmine, which have been massive hits, and then films like last year called The Rational Man, where it was sort of very poorly received in most places. Some people liked it, but most people were sort of indifferent on it or really didn't like it at all. So it premiered at Cannes, and essentially it's set in the 1930s, and you've got Jesse Eisenberg playing a boy called Bobby Dorfman. He was born in the Bronx, and his family sent him over to Hollywood to work with his uncle, who's a producer there, tying up deals for the studios. And essentially he wants him to sort of, they want him to sort of mould him and get him a job there and sort of teach him the ropes and sort of get him a life there. And he doesn't really take to it like a duck to water, because as you would expect, Hollywood is full of narcissistic people, and the culture where people just name dropping constantly and trying to one up each other essentially and stab each other in the back. And he's not exactly in that, because he's a Bronx boy, you know, he's lived life on the streets, and he ends up falling in love with one of Steve Carell's characters, who's his uncle's workers, called Vonnie, who's played by Kristen Stewart. However, Vonnie has a boyfriend, and that's sort of problematic in the end, because as you would expect,
it complicates things.
It complicates this situation. Now, to be honest, I mean, if you've seen a Woody Allen film before,
which you haven't,
which I hadn't, but it sort of sets you up for it, really, doesn't it?
Well, how would you know?
Because I know what he's like. I know a lot about Woody Allen himself and his style. Just haven't seen many of his films at all.
Any of his films at all.
Yeah, but it's one of those films that you just expect, because it starts with the narration straight away by Woody Allen. But the thing that struck me the most about Cafe Society is just how sort of clean it is, you know. Like how like rich the filmmaking is, you know. Like it's not like especially difficult, but it's sort of just. It's the atmosphere that he brings, you know. The costume designs are fantastic. The whole location set, the dress setting is fantastic. Everything about it is wonderfully crafted to bring you into that 1930s Hollywood world full of sharp suits and sharper tongues and these horrible people who are desperate to try and get a one up on each other.
I suppose one of the reasons behind that must be Storaro.
Oh yeah. Vittorio Storaro, the cinematographer, has got a great looking thing. I mean, what was the previous Woody Allen film he did?
I think this is only one of it.
I thought he did.
What other stuff Storaro done then?
Just
to name a few.
Well, yeah, I mean,
few
like,
examples.
you know, films like The Conformist, Apocalypse Now, and you know, just
a few
little films,
indie films.
Indie films, yeah.
But it just you probably get brought into this world, and it's such a striking image when you see. I know Jesse Eisenberg's sort of a bit of a life figure, you know. He's not exactly he's not exactly a typical sort of pill you expect to be like a bruiser in Hollywood, and to see him in this suit, dressed up, trying to hang with the people who are, you know, the venom spitting narcissists, it's quite a striking image, and it's quite good to see that. And I know Kristen Stewart and him have sort of got like a thing going on now in Hollywood where they're sort of constantly getting paired up with you. I know they're good friends, but it seems weird how many times they end up falling in love with each other in films. It's quite a few times.
If you think the sort of like the parents back in the past, you're sort of like Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart. That was a pure guess. Maybe this is the new sort of power couple thing. Maybe like I know the films they've been are not quite the same as the stuff we got back in that time, but like, you know, they've had Adventureland, American Ultra, and this. It's not really the same sort of like Big Sleep sort of stuff, but maybe.
Yeah, you know, the new power couple, I guess. But but you see, I mean, I read an article the other day about how sort of Kristen Stewart has managed, I mean, whether it was Woody Allen's fault himself or his sort of virtue, by the fact that he's managed to sort of get the tics away from Kristen Stewart in this performance that she has. Like, apparently she runs her hands through her hair a lot. She stares at the ground quite a bit and like goes before, just like tusks before. Yeah,
when you think of Kristen Stewart, you think of like sort of awkward.
Yeah. She seems to have sort of brushed that away, because her character is, I mean, she came to Hollywood as a starlet and ends up working as for Steve Carell. So I mean, she's got that sort of that doe-eyed look about her.
I think it's a performance unlike anything we've seen from her before. Most of the characters she's played. I mean, her best performance before this was probably Clouds of Silsbury, but even then she was doing the same sort of buttoned up awkwardness, like teeny kind of. But this is totally.
But
different.
still, Alice, she was good as well. I think she was strong.
Still not. In contrast to this, where she's very bright and very outgoing and full of life and full of colour.
Well, I mean, even the lighting that they light her especially bright. I mean, they try to make her have that angelic quality about it.
They dress her sort of in very sort of spring colours.
I guess that's sort of because like the contrast between the fact that we have all these Hollywood starlets, yet Jesse Eisenberg's character sees her more as a starlet, even though that she's just a worker for Steve Carell, big producer guy. I mean, the story itself takes quite a few twists as it goes along, and we're not at virtue to spoil them. But it's a typical bittersweet sort of comedy romance film, and it does end you on a happy sad note.
Yeah,
I guess it's a bit
melancholy
note.
Not entirely sad, but
in terms of Woody Allen's work in the past, it's kind of like. It's the same as before, isn't it? It's nothing new.
Because obviously he's so prolific. It's basically he just picks out films from the draw, and he's just kind of every now and then you'll get like an average kind of good film Woody Allen or bad, and then sometimes obviously you get films like Crimes and Misdemeanors and loads of big like awesome films.
Yeah.
But Cafe Society, probably one of the best like shot films he's done in a long time. I mean, even on Blue Jasmine and stuff like that, this one feels very nice, tight and precise with the camera work and the light. Obviously, extraordinary lighting from Storaro and his crazy theory of colours. But I think just honestly solid Woody Allen film. It's got hints of Bullets Over Broadway as well, because like Jesse Eisenberg's character in the film, his brother's like a gangster, and he has fun little vignettes like going along like the side of the plot. But Jesse Eisenberg, he's doing surprisingly. I mean, he's doing like a kind of. I think he's worked with him before, and I think it's To Rome with Love. I think it's called, and he's doing a little bit of mixture of Woody Allen, but his own little thing at the same time.
He is the Woody Allen voice.
I mean, one of the start of the scenes where his brother tries to hire him a prostitute, and that's pure Woody Allen. But then he has his own little kind of Jesse Eisenberg ticks and stuff like that.
The neurotic nature of Allen.
I've grown to really like his.
He channels him pretty well. Obviously, he's not in the film anymore because he's pretty old now, Woody Allen. But he definitely puts his own voice through Eisenberg, and I think Eisenberg does a pretty good job of channeling that voice. Yeah. It's typical Allen, the whole sort of solid, hates Los Angeles, loves New York. It's another love letter to New York indirectly, I suppose.
And
more
a little love letter to cinema. I mean, if you like 1930s, there's just tons of little references. Like Parker Posey's in it. Her character, she's like a model agency tycoon.
She's one of the nicer ones.
Yeah, she's one of the nicest ones, and that's me with D.W. Griffith and stuff like that. Just little tiny. I love films that takes the old cinema culture and put it in. Like I Sing in the Rain recently. Loved that. I kind of Hail Caesar didn't quite do it for me, but sort of.
I thought it was really good.
No, I think it's a solid piece of work. I didn't make any notes for it. Normally I would, but I didn't have any notes. Kind of because it was just like pleasant and fine. But I do think it's some of Kristen Stewart's best work.
I think Jesse Eisenberg.
It's unlike anything she's done before,
and it's not compared to, for example, Radio Days. It's not entirely nostalgic. It's got its own little plot. Even though I watched Radio Days straight away after Cafe Society, and that is a really underrated Woody Allen film.
I think Jesse Eisenberg as well is a fantastic performance, because I mean, as he gets involved, and later on in the film, as he gets involved in Cafe Society himself, Cafe Society being the sort of act of the people mingling with each other in Hollywood, the big shots mingling with each other, Cafe Society, and as he gets involved, his character art is fascinating to watch as he becomes slowly the thing that he doesn't like at all. It's fascinating. But I
got sort of like the second half of the film when he kind of becomes that sort of nasty side. I got like proper double vibes. The sort of the evil twin brother. I think it's some of his best work as well. I think I'd put it up there with it, but I certainly don't. So this is what he should be doing rather than Lex Luthor.
I think the fact that they've got Storaro on there to make everything look bright and the fact they've got all these like talented fashion designers and talented set designers to make it look like a beautiful, idealized 1930s Hollywood, and then have that with contrast to Jesse Eisenberg constantly talking down about it and Kristen Stewart talking down about it is a really nice juxtaposition with each other. And I think that just adds to that whole nihilistic, narcissistic view of Hollywood in that era, and I think that gives it an extra edge that adds weight to the story, because I mean we all agree the story is probably the strong. I mean the dialogue's spot on. It's witty. It's really well acted, and it's just a really good watch for me.
Very pleasant, very nice.
Solid, Alan.
Very solid, very enjoyable. That's Cafe Society. Recommend.